Hello, good morning, everyone. I am just have kind of breaking news I wanted to share with everyone today. I'm sure people are starting to see it online already, but a local council in Australia has put forward our wonderful Canadian doctor, David Speicher. I'm saying his name probably wrong. Just talking to him on the phone this morning, and it's the proper spelling is in the comments there. But so I wanted to share a bit of what the council did in Australia. They moved to essentially put a stop to the Pfizer in their country, and it really is amazing how this all came together and how this started. So I'm going to just play a little piece of that council meeting and then a little bit from my conversation with David this morning, and then play the entire 20-minute council meeting so everyone can watch that, and then have a little look at the agenda and how that was put forward. And just wanted to share this as an example of localism over globalism and how local councils have the power to move this forward, and what we can do with this and move it forward here in Canada and around the world. The example has been set, and really what it comes down to is a couple good councillors in our Canadian local governments sitting on each council to move this forward there. And what I'm going to do today is get a few important things up on the website. And this isn't really about that today, but there is on the KICLI website, there's a lot of pieces moving on there for everyone to start working through the strategies themselves. So phase 1 of the KICLI strategy is now available for a step-by-step. If you go to the service page on KICLI Canada, you're going to see how to lay out the board so that you can start doing the local over global agenda strategy in your town. And then phase 2 will be up by our next KICLI meeting on October 28th, which you can register for on the Join Us page of kicli.ca. So today I want to share this example of localism over globalism, the power of local councillors, and of an effective example of what it looks like when we share information with our local representatives and have them move it forward and oppose the global agenda. So I'll just share a 2-minute video of kind of some highlights from that council meeting in Australia. And then I'll come back and we'll share my conversation with David this morning, the doctor whose report was referenced in this council meeting. And then come back and see if we still have time. And if people are interested, we can share how we can take this information, put it into a report for Canadian municipalities and local governments across Canada, and provide them with the information they need to receive this information, look at it, acknowledge that this needs to be done, find one other councillor on their council to move this forward, get it seconded, and then once the truth hits the table, it passes. That's how this will work. And we need this to happen all across Canada. So things really seem to be picking up in our world here. So I'm just going to share. It says I am sharing. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to play this for you.
Just remember this.
And there we go.
Motion is about informing other local governments with the research that we've got and getting answers to the new expert findings. How can we say no to that? That's all I have. Thanks.
I agree in principle with the recommendation and accept as is. I feel very concerned regarding the present proposal for the use of this Pfizer vaccine due to the present research that we've been given tonight. And also, as experience in the medical field, that over the past 18 months, it has been quite apparent of the increase of stage 3 and 4 cancers, where people are diagnosed and are usually gone within 4 to 6 weeks, which is quite gut-wrenching when you're a nurse and you actually have to go through with these families through what they have to go through. The present that this research is, I consider that
for the opportunity for both sides of this argument to be brought to the table. Gas McRae has it
beside me is too scared to do, then that's her whim. But I would like to think that most of the people here are not scared to ask questions, be it of our bosses or of our state governments or federal governments. We are we're all people, no matter, we're all just making our way through. And I just think there's going to be, I'd like to think that this motion tonight will be the ripple that creates a bigger wave across the country and perhaps across the world.
So I just wanted to stop there for a second. I think that was the deputy mayor, and from what I read, originally throughout all this, the last 4 years, he was opposed to people. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but if you look up this story online, you'll see that the deputy mayor was once, not for this kind of emotion. And here he is saying, at the end of the day, we're all people, and he hopes that this creates a ripple throughout not just Australia, but the entire world. So councillors across Canada and the entire world, even if you voted in the past to go along with what the supposed health experts in your country were putting forward and not rock the boat, it's time to get off that sinking ship and truly save humanity from these therapeutics that are being pushed on us. We can't let that happen again. And if you look at the report, and I will provide it, and you'll hear from the conversation with David, there'll be one specific for Ontario, which is more localized and shows what was in the vials in Ontario. So that gives you a better idea of what was in the vials across the country. Councillors, I hope you will read that report and see that you have an opportunity to literally potentially save humanity. So you're called to, if you're sitting in one of those seats and you have an opportunity to vote and move motions forward at the local level, you're there for a reason. So we'll just continue watching here.
There are a lot of people watching this, I know, all over the world. In pretty much every continent is covered, and it's been an honour to talk with you guys about it, and it's an honour to represent you guys on such an issue. But I just hope that everyone votes the right way, and I think most of the people here know what the right way is. So,
amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Okay, we'll now put it to the vote. All those in favour? 5.
All in favor. Okay. So I pulled up the agenda for that meeting, and I'll post it in the comments and in the description. It is in the description actually already. And you'll see when you pull it up, they did this despite the fact that they did some assessment before this came on. I'm not sure who did the assessment, the staff likely, but they assessed this as high risk for them to pass. And it would lead to the loss of a $10 million grant from the federal government for a completely separate issue. So that goes to show that the federal governments are using our tax-funded grants to bribe, extort, manipulate local governments. And I don't know what it's like in Australia, but here in Canada, Section 92 of our Constitution puts municipalities under the exclusive jurisdiction of the provinces. So whenever I hear examples of federal government, dangling carrots and manipulating our local governments, I think we have a serious problem. And I'm pretty sure it's the same in Australia. So federal governments, back off. And honestly. So I had a great conversation with David this morning. I'm going to share that. And I think I made a lot of the points that I would like to make with you guys in that conversation. So let me just see if I can pull that up. This might take me a second. Okay, so what are we looking at here? Okay. So that's really good. So in a couple weeks, you're going to have a report on the Ontario files and similar findings. I hope that's working. It's not. Okay, so that's not working, eh? Shoot. Let me see here. So I think what I need to do is load it up. And maybe what I'll do in the meantime is share the full council meeting. Just give me a second. It's 20 minutes long, but it's really beautiful to watch. Historic. Okay, so that. Now I can share it.
To acknowledge the seriousness of the matter, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the seriousness of the matter we are gathered to discuss. The synthetic DNA contamination found in Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines. 2 weeks ago at our ordinary council meeting, this motion was shut down because it was not important, but more so because I brought it to the council too late. But I and millions of other Australians do not agree that this motion is not important. The contamination is not a minor issue. The report by Dr. David Speicher, presented in Exhibit 1 of tonight's motion, evidences levels of synthetic DNA contamination by up to 145 times higher than Australia's Therapeutic Goods Administration, the TGA, up to 145 times higher than the TGA's own safety limits. For those unfamiliar, the TGA limits are there for a reason, because synthetic DNA has been shown to integrate into human cells, leading to potential long-term health risks like cancer, genomic instability, vascular thromboses and blood clotting, as well as immune system disruptions. Dr. Speicher's findings are alarming, but they are also far from isolated. Independent studies now in Canada, Germany, and the US have all confirmed similar levels of contamination. International experts, including some of the world's leading oncologists, geneticists, virologists, immunologists, microbiologists, and biochemists, have joined forces to warn governments around the world, including our own government, about the dangers these contaminants pose. This is why the Honourable Russell Broadbent MP, the federal member for Monash, has written multiple letters to the Prime Minister urging an immediate investigation and suspension of these vaccines. Yet the response from our government has been nothing but silence. Not a word from the Prime Minister, not a word from the Minister of Health, despite receiving clear scientific evidence that millions of Australians could be at risk, including those folks right here in Port Hedland who were forced to take these experimental shots and continue to take these dangerous shots, yet the government has chosen to remain silent. We now have evidence that has been undoubtedly forwarded and shared with the Attorney General, Mark Dreyfus, and with the Secretary of Health, Blair Comrie, that the contamination is significant. It's widespread and it's downright disturbing. Yet none of these high-ranking officials have stepped forward to address this publicly. None has even attempted to explain why this contamination was allowed to go on for so long unnoticed. But let's talk about what this means for us, the residents of Port Hedland. Exhibit 3, the science summary attached to Mr. Broadbent's second letter, presents a stark reality. In every vial of Australian-sourced mRNA vaccine, every single shot tested by Dr. Speicher, the levels of synthetic DNA contamination were so high that one shot could contain as many as 24 trillion synthetic DNA fragments. Trillion with a T. Think about that. Each one of us has around 37 trillion cells in our body, and one shot could be putting 24 trillion foreign DNA fragments into our bloodstream, with potentially billions of those fragments being the simian virus 40, SV40. SV40 is a genetic material that has been known for years to cause cancer. The science summary makes it clear. Only 3 to 10 of these SV40 fragments are needed to trigger what is called insertional mutagenesis, which is a scientific term for cancer-causing genetic changes. When I say 3, I mean 3. Not 300, not 3,000, not even 3 million. If just 3 to 10 fragments are needed to begin the cancer mutation process, what happens when someone receives billions of these SV40 fragments in a single shot? What happens when these contaminant shots are administered multiple times, as they have been, to millions of Australians, including Australian children?
There's been some statements made about the responsibility of local government and why we would be, looking at something like this. We actually do have a health department, and our health department goes out and makes sure that the businesses that are supplying, stuff that we eat or, stuff that we provide, to the public, that health department goes out and makes sure that those businesses aren't poisoning the population. So, we do have a responsibility when it comes to health. And we have a full department out there that actually does that work. So I don't see the difference between that and something like this. Now, I definitely support this motion. Now, before I go on, there's a lot of stuff in the media about the old tinfoil hat people and the bloody the anti-vaxxers and all of that sort of stuff. This is not about that. All right. I took the vaccine. It was my decision. I've said it many times before. Okay. I took it because the advice from the government, we were told that was expert advice. And that it was safe, and yet we were going to die. Now, you've heard that many times if we didn't take that vaccine. I took the vaccine. All right. So don't call me an anti-vaxxer. I want to know the truth. So I definitely support this motion based on what I've read and seen over the past 4 years. The health issues that I've been told about by many Hedland people since, receiving these vaccines mirrors, a huge amount of stories that you see on the internet of many Australians who were assured that these products were rigorously tested and safe for public use. Now, I think that the evidence is emerging. It's quite clear. I've been watching a lot of videos in the US Senate where senators are talking about this stuff. And, it's quite clear to them, and they are, quite well-respected people, that there's issues with this stuff. So I think this presents a real and undeniable threat to public health. The contamination has been extensively documented by the report, Dr. David Schneider's report, as well as other international experts, but we still get no response from our federal authorities, and I find that quite alarming. These vaccines were pushed onto us in Hedland. And it's a lot of people would know that 60 to 80% of people in Hedland didn't want to take the vaccine. And the reasons they took it is because they didn't have a job if they didn't take it. So a lot of people were pushed into taking it. Now, when you have a look at the letter that's been presented to the PM, the letter states that from one of the world leading medical practitioners and scientific medical researchers, that there is compelling evidence synthetic foreign DNA can get into human cells. And we just watched a video that, that states that as well. Potentially leading to geonomic instability, cancers, immune system disruptions, and adverse future effects on your body. Now, my advice to the government and to health, this is state and federal, is to get into the lab and do the tests. Do the science to support or dismiss these claims.
Yeah.
And like the letter states, let the research have free and open scientific discourse to help uncover the true facts. Now, how can anyone disagree with that? That is what we're trying to achieve here by sending these letters. Now, look, I don't know what's going to happen when most people in government openly supported the vax rollout without understanding the science and demonised anyone that objected to the Australia-wide vaccine rollout. So, we're going to have problems getting answers. But I think, with a council putting this forward and then giving the information to other councils and then getting support across WA and then Australia, I think that the time will come when they can't block this information anymore. And that's what we're really trying to achieve here. We're not applying money to it. We're not doing anything other than asking for answers to the evidence or the research of these highly acclaimed scientists. And that's what we've been told for the last 4 or 5 years. That's what the government has said. All of the stuff they told us is that they said it's backed by scientific research. Well, we've got scientific research here now that says the opposite to what we've been told.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't think we can wait because this stuff has been rolled out continuously. I took 3 of the jabs. There's no way I'm taking any more. There's no way I'm advising anybody else to take any until we get some answers to the research that's been provided to us. Now, in closing, council members, if you oppose the motion, you know, we've been given all the documents. I've read them a couple of times. You know, it's pretty heavy stuff. But, you know, I do have a little bit of an understanding on it. I'm no gene doctor or whatever, but, you know, it's clear to me, and I'm a mechanic, right, that there's holes in the, the responses from government agencies here. And I want answers to clear this up, whether it be for or against. And it's got to be, we've got to ensure that people aren't threatened, taking part in these answers, because I know a lot of doctors that will not even talk about this stuff because they are frightened. That is not finding out answers in, for medical research. So if you oppose this motion, in your argument, tell me, the reasons you disagree with world-renowned medical experts on their research presented tonight, and tell me why we should not ask for questions. We should not ask the questions, and we should not get the answers from their expert medical people.
Yeah.
I think this is a historic motion that's going to have far-reaching implications for health and safety of every Australian. So I urge you as council members to support the motion. We've clearly got a lot of people in the gallery that are, that are concerned about this stuff and that, want answers as well. And that's our job as their representatives, to try and get them the answers. So we need to make sure that those voices that have concerns are heard as well. And we need to demand answers.
That's the local job.
Demand accountability.
Local reps.
And we must ensure that the people of Port Hedland and all Australians are informed, supported and protected. There's a lot more that I could say about this, but just remember, this motion is about informing other local governments with the research that we've got and getting answers to the new expert findings. How can we say no to that?
They can't.
That's all I have. Thanks.
I agree in principle with the recommendation and accept as is. I feel very concerned regarding the present proposal for the use of this Pfizer vaccine due to the present research that we've been given tonight. And also, as experience in the medical field, that over the past 18 months, it has been quite apparent of the increase of stage 3 and 4 cancers, where people are diagnosed and are usually gone within 4 to 6 weeks, which is quite gut-wrenching when you're a nurse and you actually have to go through with these families through what they have to go through. The present that this research is, I consider that I consider and comment at this special meeting. I just feel that in the position as being a nurse for over 47 years now, that within the last 2 years, there's actually been a very significant rise in cancers, AF, which is called atrial fibrillation post having COVID, vaccines, also with pericarditis and myocarditis, also with other medical issues with bleedings and cancers. So I am going to be for the motion, as it's actually been quite significant the last 18 months. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. So I'm not going to fight against it and stand in the way of it, because I'm not that hell-bent on it. As I said, I've got some concerns, but is that worth going against everybody in this room and what people want, and people that do feel so passionately about it? Just because I don't doesn't mean that nobody else should. So on that case, I will be voting for it. So
This is the magic of local action. They can't go against it.
Clear, Councillor Woods. It was
They've been
against.
provided with the information.
It was for. Yes. Yep.
As always, thanks everybody for the debate, but especially thanks to everyone that took the time again to come out here. For those that shared their personal stories, again, it takes a lot of spirit and a lot of personal will to be able to come out and open yourself up and be vulnerable in this situation. So, massive thanks. It goes without saying, this sort of motion doesn't just happen overnight. So, first, before I do start my debate, I wanted to recognise and commend, I guess, Councillor McRae for the efforts put into this. We've seen a few special council meetings over the time come through, but nothing as detailed nor nothing as I guess, thought through as this motion. So a lot of time and effort has been taken into this. So I think it's just out of respect, I want to say congratulations to yourself for getting this to this level as it is. It's a massive bit of work, and your passion for this subject and for the subject matter itself is very evident and clear in your debate. So for my debate, again, I'm a very simple human being with not very great education, but there's a certain few levels that I'd like to touch on here, where so some areas of council's concerns where they say in their question, is this a council business? Is this council area to get involved in? And I guess the biggest thing I can try and send the message to those who feel that way, it's to understand that we are here to respond and represent to our community. But furthermore, we need to be present when a subject matter or when a service in this town fails. There's so many motions that have come past this table, and I've been privileged to be here for 3 years, and in that 3-year period, I've seen this council tackle housing. I've seen this council tackle so many different avenues that are a state or a federal government remit. Yet we come to the party because, again, it's the right thing to do. So I'm definitely not going to try and debate and articulate as well as yourself, Councillor McRae, the scientific measures behind some of these debates. I'll do it a disservice. So I guess I'll talk directly to the motion and the reasons as to why I'm supportive of this motion tonight. I honestly believe that the motion holds, I guess, alignments to the principles of scientific debate. It allows for the opportunity for both sides of this argument to be brought to the table. Councillor McRae has it himself. It's several letters to be issued to different broad spectrums of our community, whether it be the health professionals themselves or whether it be the people that represent us in the state and the federal levels. I also believe that the motion itself will bring forward the conversation around transparency of all what's been brought forward tonight. It's from what I've heard, and especially the people talking tonight, we see that this conversation will be had over, I'm assuming, decades, when the truth does finally come out around the real health ramifications and the issues that are created by the injections that were brought forward. Personally, I don't see a massive issue with asking our fellow, and I say fellow, government people in the state and the federal levels to provide the research, provide the responses back that people are asking for. And if it stacks up, it stacks up. If it doesn't, I don't know what else we can do. But I think what we should do is here, at least at the bare minimum, is send through these letters, ask for that advice and ask for that information that supports those positions that they're going to make and that they're going to stand. So outside of that, I'm just going to leave it very short, hopefully, and leave it at that. So thanks very much for the time, guys.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor McRae, listen up, please.
Thank you, Mayor Carter. Just want to thank again everyone who's come out tonight, and especially those who told a personal story or two.
So there must have been several delegations.
I think what was mentioned by pretty much everyone here tonight, Councillor Blanco, Rentz, Christensen and Butson, sure, health is not in the remit of local government, but looking after our people most certainly is.
Yeah.
And we sat here I sat on your side of the bench in 2022 when we brought this to the town, and the town, whether right or wrong, it went against us, and it was really heartbreaking to see. But fingers crossed we vote the right way tonight. We're certainly not doing anything other than asking questions, and if asking questions is something that Councillor Rebello beside me is too scared to do, then that's her whim. But I would like to think that most of the people here are not scared to ask questions, be it of our bosses or of our state governments or federal governments. We are we're all people, no matter, we're all just making our way through. And I just think that there's going to be, I'd like to think that this motion tonight will be the ripple that creates a bigger wave across the country and perhaps across the world. So there are a lot of people watching this, I know, all over the world, in pretty much every continent is covered, and it's been an honour to talk with you guys about it, and it's an honour to represent you guys on such an issue. But I just hope that everyone votes the right way, and I think most of the people here know what the right way is. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Frey. Okay, we'll now put it to the vote. All those in favour? 5.
Beautiful. All those in favor? All those in favor. So this is a shout out to local governments and people all across the Western democracies. Local governments have the power to put forward very powerful motions that can ripple across the entire world. So I had the pleasure of speaking with Dr. David Speicher. I'm probably pronouncing your name wrong. I'm sorry, David. Honor to know you and honor to speak with you today. I'm going to see if I can share that discussion that we had and steps we can do moving forward here in Canada. So I love seeing examples of this because, then we can pull up the agenda, we can pull up the motion, we can pull up the reports that were put forward there in that council meeting, and we can do a report for Canadian councils and give them the information that they need. And all it will take is one councillor looking at another councillor, sharing that report, giving each other that nod of solidarity, moving a motion, seconding a motion, having people go in and speak to that motion when it comes forward, sharing their stories. And at the end of the day, all they're asking for is some answers to the scientific data that's coming forward that shows that what's in these vials is potentially harmful, and that the risk of developing a serious illness after receiving these is becoming more and more evident in the scientific literature. And I'm not a scientist. When it comes to that stuff, I try and stay out of discussing it too much because my head is elsewhere. But I really do appreciate the wins that we're having in the scientific realm, the medical realm, I should say, and also in the court realm recently as well. So I feel like we're really on the edge of coming out of this dark time and the truth coming to light. So thank you, everyone. I know everyone's getting tired out there, but if we just keep going, do a little bit each day, we're going to get there. So I'll try and share my discussion with David this morning. I don't know why I can't pull it up. Hold on. Okay. What happens if I go here? Yes, okay. So that's really good. So in a couple weeks, you're going to have a report on the Ontario file and similar findings.
We're hoping more on starting they were higher on
Okay.
trees.
Okay. Can you? They were higher on what? I just want to make sure I get that right.
Higher on we're a little bit lower on
PCR.
PCR.
So what is philometry? Am I saying that right?
It's blue fluorescent guys who local art and total DNA.
Okay. So was it similar in the amount of DNA? Or synthetic DNA? Similar, okay. That's crazy.
I can't think.
Okay. Please. Yeah, that's perfect. So yeah, I'd like to put something together, and then I'll just make a note that the report for Ontario files will be out by the end of the month, probably. So I think that that's spectacular, and it really shows that local governments have the power to pass these motions and, you know, send.
It's like if you look behind this,
Government.
Before this, I heard full Austin
Million. I saw that there was a risk analysis, and it was like catastrophic or something like that. And so that's why I think, yeah.
Developers are like, driving us over people's health.
Yeah. Yeah, no, if anything, I thought when I saw that, I was like, wow. Okay, so the government's just going to straight out say, we're going to pull your funding. Well, what are they going to do if everyone passes the motion, right?
Well, Port Hedland, 15,000
Yep.
people are responsible for 5% of Australian GDP. All of their mining and their oil and exports.
Okay. Okay.
And therefore, they give town is engine of Australia.
Wow.
And it's like, once I get here, will be
Yeah. Local governments are in control over a lot more than we think, right? And they just get bullied around, and I think it's
right. If Ottawa's Alberta,
Yeah.
and in response, they want the oil.
Right.
Oh, yeah, no, thank you.
So, you know what this reminds me of? One of the things I saw before I started doing the local councils was a group in Orangeville, Ontario. The council there had put forward a motion to extend the vaccine mandate for public service workers. And the people went in, and one after another, they did delegations. And they were really good. And they made their point, because we have the truth on our side. The harms of these mandates are very personal, and people can share those stories, and they did. And after the vote, or when it came time to vote on whether or not to extend this mandate, which almost the entire council was in favor of before the delegates went in, the motion changed to end all vaccine mandates for the public workers, and everyone raised their hand to second it, and it was a unanimous vote, all in favor, to end it. So it shows us that people showing up, giving this information to the local councils, the councils voting in accordance with what is the right thing to do and the truth, can make a difference, right?
Yeah.
So, and that really got me thinking when I watched Orangeville of the potential we have in Western democracies to change things from the local level up. So I just think it's great. And the video, how it started, saying, he talked about the importance of local governments, and he talked about how this could send a ripple across the world, right? So, so I'm so proud of you, and thank you for everything you're doing, have done, and
yes,
it is. David versus Goliath. And I know you were saying that in your speeches, and it's on your page and everything, and yep. And that's the principle, right? When we do the right thing, we can stand up against these big entities win with one shot. With one shot. Just like in Thorold, that was one shot. I was, you know, I think we can do this. We're gonna take this shot. And sure enough, the domino fell. Right? So we're on to something here. So were you thinking of putting this through at the local level, or did that happen just on its own?
That happened on its own.
Oh wow! So the local councillors there, they had seen your work, and
I'm
Geneva. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So the connections you made traveling and networking there.
very helpful for this. So
Wow. I love this. Okay. So good. So good. Do you mind if I share some of this conversation? Save you a full interview, but I think people would be really excited. And so will the interview with John Campbell be live today or posted later?
probably post.
Okay.
I'm everything like this would be.
This is big. Wow. Million?
Richard Toller.
Oh, 3.3 million. This is great. This is great. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're gonna do great. And you know, I think similar to me, sometimes it's like, okay, well, somebody has to say this, right? Somebody has to get out there. And even, do you sometimes feel like not that you're not qualified to speak to it, but I know when I go, sometimes I think there's climate scientists, there's especially little old me, you know, I'm an ecosystem management tech who homeschooled my kids for 12 years. And I think, how is it that I'm being affected at this? And I just feel like, okay, like I'm asked to speak at this thing, I'm not going to say no, right? And then I just go and do it, and it makes a difference. So,
Walking my feet.
yeah. No, we're on the right track. Yeah. Doing it for the right reasons. So, well, I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you got the family there. But I'm going to keep digging here. And can I give you my email to send that report to me? Or is there a website I can just pull up? Okay, I'll do that right away. Okay, I'm going to post a report for Winnipeg today on their official plan, and I'm going to dig into this for the rest of my day because this is so exciting, and I really want Canadians and yeah, it's big. I want Canadians, I want the press, I want the local governments and all levels of governments to know this is over. This is over now. No more. Yeah. And then we can maybe look for justice in the near future. So, okay, David, thank you. See you. Let me know when you're in town. Sorry I missed you last time. Okay. Ciao. Bye. So exciting. So, Canadian doctor, David, I always mess up last names, Speicher, Speicher, and he and many other doctors went over to Geneva and met other doctors from around the world. And this shows the power of networking, connections, events. Whenever anyone says and talks down on the networking events of this movement, I always think they either have no idea what we're up against and the power of connections, or they're just not for us. So what else did I want to say? Yes, he went there with Dr. Shoemaker and others. So really love those doctors, and really excited about this. I received that text from a doctor I know that's a bit more behind the scenes, and she's had me following a group on Telegram, and it has almost 100,000 doctors in it from around the world that are opposed to the mandatory nature of this therapy that's been pushed upon the world here, and the nature of that in which it was pushed. And there's a lot of doctors around this world that are afraid to speak up. And I'm just so grateful for those few that have put themselves out there. And despite any potential consequences that might come from being outspoken, they have chosen and been called to be outspoken. And I'm just so grateful for everyone who's accepted that calling in their life. And so I'm going to get to work and share more information on this soon. Thank you all for watching.
Okay, well, that was just an exciting 12 hours. I got that message last night and went to bed on it, woke up, so grateful to talk to David this morning and dig into the agenda and reports that were given to Port Hedland, if I'm saying that correctly. And yeah, that put a fire under my butt this morning. So I already have a lot to do, but I think we need to get this information to local governments all across Canada right away in a nice, tight package, tight report that they can't do anything but move forward and get a similar outcome here in Canada. And then we can always update that in 2 weeks' time when David has a report for Ontario ready and add some more momentum to it. So here we go, guys. Localism over globalism. If you are in a Western democracy, your local government advocating there is a very effective strategy. And you can learn more about that on kickly.ca. We're addressing the climate action plans that come forward from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities and the Green Municipal Fund and the Government of Canada and a UN organization called ICLEI. So we found an effective strategy that works to oppose that and bring back more holistic development schemes as opposed to what they call sustainable development schemes, which is really comes with a whole host of problems. So you can read those reports on kickley.ca, and they should be out in version 1 by the end of this day. And my perfectionism, I'm just going to get over it and realize that I can update these reports as we go and give people what they need to know on how to move this forward. So if you look, I'll just throw it up there for everyone now. Hold on. Throw it up there right now for you so you can see. Oh, okay, this is good enough. This is kind of the back end of the website here. But if you go to kickley.ca and you click on services, it'll take you down and it'll show you the things that I'm doing and helping people with to move through this strategy that I've developed. And if you go to phase 1 now, so that you can see it's broken into phases. So the first one is research and organization. And then phase 2 is research and report development. And then phase 3 is public awareness campaign development. And then you might want to do some town hall presentations. And then you want to get in there and start doing delegations and presentations to your council after sending them the report. So everyone's asking, how do we get this started? So now phase 1 guide, a do-it-yourself guide, is up. And this is essentially like laying out the game board before you start to play. And this will help you to better respond to the things that are happening at the local level. And it starts with, determining if your local council has signed up in the last 30 years for this Partners for Climate Protection program. And it gives you you can get that done in 5 minutes. And then you can send an email to your clerk and there's a link to a template on what that email can look like to acquire the original motion to join the program, as well as the motion to adopt the climate action plan. And then you want to look on your municipal website and check out their calendar and note all the dates, times, and locations for upcoming council meetings. And then you want to gather the information on how to be a delegate at your local council and how to register. I also like to get a map with the ward boundaries of my area. I don't know why people do that. Okay. And then you want to prepare your communication channels, because this really comes down to effectively communicating with everyone who needs to be communicated with. So all your emails and phone contacts for your local councillors, your mayor, your clerk, your records department, your finance department, and your environmental coordinator, your provincial and federal representative, all their contacts. So you can just put them all in one line and blast the information when needed. Now, if you're tackling a bigger area, say this program is brought in at the county level and there's 5 different townships, 2 towns, a whole bunch of smaller municipal councils caught up in a motion, then you can email Mark and CC myself, and Mark will send you a spreadsheet with the email and phone numbers for all the council contacts in that region. And just note that does take at least up to 5 hours for Mark, and we're offering that in exchange for some funds. So you can do it yourself or you can get Mark to do it, but it's a lot of work. So that option is there. And then you want all your press contacts. You want to note community centers where you can have upcoming town halls, and instructions on how to gather all of this is here. And also your local environmental NGOs and consultants that are working with your council. And then you want to create an email for your local chapter. And I provided an example of what this looks like when it's all put together. And that way you have a manual for civic engagement at the local level. And then we would move on to phase 2, developing a report on your climate action plan and recommending in that report the council withdraw from the Partners for Climate Protection program, withdraw from their climate action plan, and adopt local environmental stewardship programs. So lots coming out today, and I'm sorry if you couldn't hear everything there, Jeanette, but he will be on John Campbell, and you can just look him up, search his name. It's in the top there, and follow the good doctors of this movement. So they're on to something. And I hope everyone has a great day, and we'll talk to you all soon. Bye for now. Thank you for watching.